Hello, hello. Hello, Instagram. Hello, Facebook group. I'm so excited to be here. Elise Arsenault here with you. And it's been a little while since I've been here live. So I'm so excited to check in with you today. So, as we're talking today, if you have any questions, if you're listening to this in replay and you have questions, feel free to share your questions, comments, things like that in the chat, and I will interact as best as I can. Instagram, I will be looking for your comments. Good to see everyone here. And same with Facebook. So, here's a question that I'm answering today. Why start working with publishers from the start when you're narrating audiobooks? And this is a question that I get asked a lot. Why do I, as a coach, help actors get working with publishers from the beginning? And lots of reasons for that. And I want to highlight a few of those today. Let me just close this here. I want to just make sure on Facebook I can see if anyone has questions. One moment here. Okay, just want to make sure this is going live. As you're joining me today, I would love to know, are you an audiobook narrator or are you interested in narrating audiobooks? If you are an audiobook narrator, I would love to know, do you work with publishers and or is that something you're interested in learning more about? Okay. So, I started coaching audiobook narration 7 or 8 years ago now. And from the beginning, I was helping audiobook narrators, basically helping actors get going working with publishers right away. And by right away, here's what I mean. I don't mean, hey, you meet me, reach out to a publisher. No, I mean, we do the work to get you prepared so that you know how to translate the craft of acting to that of audiobook narration, so that you're clear on how you fit into the industry, so that you're clear on how to talk about who you are, and so that you have the materials that you need to be competitive in the industry. And once you have all of that ready to go, then I take you through the process of building relationships with publishers. And I do that because that's what my journey was. So I started narrating audiobooks back in 2015, and I went from one book to the next. And here I am about 9 years later, consistently working in audiobook narration. All over 170 of my audiobooks have been with publishers. And so that is my experience. That's first of all why I teach that. But outside of that, I want to share three other reasons that I think you should think about this if you're an actor who wants to narrate audiobooks, or if you're already an audiobook narrator, but you've been told by other people that you need to pay your dues, or you need to work on ACX first, or who do you think you are to start reaching out to publishers? Those are That's me paraphrasing it, but I have had clients over the years say that they were warned not to start working with publishers right away. So those are just some myths I want to dispel. So who am I? If you don't know who I am, hello, I'm Elise Arsenault. I am the founder of The Global Actor, where I help actors live where they want and work when they want. And if you're wondering why I'm looking from one screen to the next, this is Instagram. This is Facebook. I'm glad to be in two places at once. So through The Global Actor, we help actors build thriving creative careers. But then specifically, I'm the co-creator of the Great Audiobook Adventure, where we help actors build thriving audiobook narration careers to support the rest of your creative life. That doesn't mean I just want you working in audiobook narration all the time. That might be right for you, but that's never been the only thing that I do. But I really want I really want actors to have audiobook narration as an ongoing creative stream to be working as often as you want, and to have that be an income stream that you can rely on year after year. So that's something I've been able to make happen. And through our coursework inside the Great Audiobook Adventure, it's been a joy, honor, privilege to be able to help hundreds of actors do that. So here's why. Here's why I think you can work with publishers, or why I think you need to consider working with publishers if you're narrating audiobooks. Because you just get to narrate. You get to punch and roll, record, and you get to narrate. When you work with publishers, you don't have to worry about the overall producing of the entire book. So to me, it's a better use of your time. You're working in your zone of genius or your zone of excellence more often. So I think that is helpful, especially if you already feel overwhelmed in life. I want you to be basically pruning the things that are not a fit for you. So by going to work on the independent exchange, say for instance, I know a lot of folks get started on ACX and they might do a royalty share book and they might not have the skills to understand how to choose the right projects. And they might be doing all of this work producing, narrating, prepping, proofing, editing, and the post production work for sometimes zero pay. I've seen that happen. So that's one reason. Again, I want you just working in your zone of genius, narrating, and doing like minimal editing, punch and roll, which that's gonna be that's a great it's a great resource to if you can learn how to punch and roll record, that's a great skill that I think sets you up for a lot of success working with publishers, doing indie work in a lot of different ways. But at the same time, there's also plenty of actors who record in studio and through publishers that can often I won't say that's like an often thing. There are rare opportunities to work in studio. However, if that's mainly what you want to do, just narrate and not even punching and rolling, there are ways that you can um, attract more of that work. So that's always something I'm game to talk with you more about if you want to learn more about how to do that. The second reason I think working with publishers is going to be a really good use of your limited energy that you have to spend working in this area is that you'll be protected by SAG-AFTRA agreements that will protect you against what's happening with everyone seems to be very excited about AI right now. I'm not super excited about it. I'm not excited that there are AI audiobooks being created, but there is a push for that happening. There's a lot we could talk about there. That's its own other Instagram Live, Facebook Live for another time. But what I will say and how this relates to today's topic is that if you're working under a SAG-AFTRA contract, or even if you're working with a publisher or producer who has a SAG-AFTRA signatory agreement, there are protections in place that are keeping you from being taken advantage of in terms of your voice being used without your permission for AI. So I think that's really important. I think that's more important than ever. And then the third reason is that you have the opportunity when you're working with publishers that I think is different than authors. And I also want to give a caveat. I think it's great if you can work independently with authors in a way that's fulfilling for both you and that author. And I've had a lot of clients who've had success connecting with an author and finding a way to bring the book they're both interested in producing together to a publisher. I've had clients who've been able to start working with a publisher through a relationship that they had with an author that they were able to bring to a publisher. So what that connects to is this thing of having an ongoing relationship. I want you to have ongoing relationships with many publishers so that you can be considered for all different kinds of genres that you would like to narrate in. So I think that if you're spending a lot of time just focused on author relationships, oftentimes authors are working in one or two, maybe more genres. But I think getting to know lots of publishers who have a number of projects on their board ahead of them for the whole year, it just opens up more opportunities. And I also think it puts you in a place for me, it's put me in a place of confidence, knowing that I can be trusted to work with a publisher year after year after year. I have a ton of ongoing publishers. So not only has it been great for like the actual work that I have work coming my way, but there is confidence that I have that I know I will continue to work with these clients as long as I continue doing good work and as long as I follow through on the deadlines and the agreements that we have in place that have really helped me stand into leadership in my career. And that's where I want us to kind of conclude with today is that I want you to be thinking about your acting career as you are the leader of it. You are running a creative business, whether you are currently incorporated or not, you are the leader of your business. Whether you think of yourself as not as a leader or not, you actually are. So I want you to be stepping into the leadership of your career and making strategic decisions that are going to best serve you in the long run. So I want you to think about why you've decided to explore audiobook narration and what are you hoping it will do for your career. And if you haven't yet considered working with publishers, I want you to start thinking about that. So I would love to open up. Does anyone have any questions related to this topic before I wrap today? And also, I want to share an invitation with you. If you are curious about this and we haven't yet worked together, I have a free class coming up that I'd love to invite you to. So if you are here on Instagram, the link is going to be in my bio. If you're here in the Facebook group, you may have already checked this out, but I'm going to drop a link to it. I have a free class called Narrate Your Way to Abundance, and I've got an audiobook. It's actually available at audiobookadventure.com. So this is the intro class to my full framework called The Great Audiobook Adventure, where we take actors or creative people who want to be audiobook narrators. We take you from the beginning of just kind of learning about this work through all the way. It's basically an A to Z process of everything you need to know and all of the marketing materials you need to create to launch your audiobook narration career working with publishers. So that class is going to be happening in a couple weeks. So you're the first people to know that that class is opening up. I think our first class is going to be April 23rd. So you've got some time. This intro class is completely free. But let me just zoom through and see if anyone had any questions. Does anybody have any questions? If not, that makes me feel like I said everything as succinctly as possible. And yeah, today was inspired by just a question that comes up from time to time. So if you have a question that you'd like me to answer on a future live like this, please feel free to send me a DM or an email and let me know what that question is. I already got a good juicy one that came through email today that I'm going to do a separate video on at another point. But it's been really awesome to be with you here today. So let me wrap the conversation with Instagram first. Thank you so much for joining me, Instagram crew. It's great to be here with you, Elise Arsenault, and I look forward to continuing to stay connected. If you've been watching this today, when I reshare this, I would love to know, is there a takeaway that you had from today's talk? So feel free to either leave a takeaway or a question, and let's keep this conversation going. I am cheering you on always, and I want to remind you that no one in the world has a voice like yours, has a perspective like yours. You have a unique take on what is happening in the world, and I want to encourage you to lean into who you are, lean into your authenticity. When you do, exciting things come to you. At least that is my experience. And that is the final message I want to share with you today. So thank you, Instagram. Let me wrap us here. Awesome. And Facebook, let me just double check. Let me just refresh, see if anyone has shared anything before I wrap. Thank you so much. I'm going to if you're with me on Facebook right now, I feel like I've been in like a very excited place. So before we wrap, I want to invite you to just take a deep breath in and let it out on a sigh. And before we wrap today, I want you to think of one action you can take today to help you move to the next stage that you want to be in your career. What is one action you can take today to help you move towards your next goal? Thank you so much for joining me, Elise Arsenault, signing off. Thank you so much for joining me here today, Facebook. I'll talk to you soon, global actors.